ladies. Welcome to Shatter with Dr. J. I'm your host, Dr. J. Welcome to this week's episode. She works hard for the money. I am so excited to be with you all this week. I'm happy that you're tuning in. And if you know me, you know I absolutely love quotes. So, of course, I have one for you this week. And the quote is, on my own, I will just create. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, I'll create something else. I don't have any limitations on what I think I could do or be. And that is from our Woman Crush Wednesday every day, Oprah, okay? And so I absolutely love that quote, everything about it. So think about that as you're kind of like listening to this episode and even approaching your own ideas on entrepreneurship and making that money, ladies. I'm so excited to have today my special guest. Today we have with us an amazing woman who is making big moves, and she is Shameca Tankerson. And so I want to welcome you to the show, Shameca. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yay! So we're just going to jump right into it because we have a lot of information to cover because you are amazing. I want to know, just without all the titles and all the stuff that you've accomplished out there, who is Shameca?
That's a loaded question. So I'll start by saying this. One of the things that I do in the world is I help brilliant, badass businesswomen make more money than they could ever imagine.
Wow.
And so I always say that I'm a stand for women owning the value that they bring to the table, no matter what, with zero apologies. And as a matter of fact, I'll usually say I'm in an all-out war against them not trusting that value. And sales is my weapon of choice.
Okay.
That's what I use. Other than that, I'm a God girl. I'm a mom, a wife. I'm a CrossFitter. I wear so many different hats. That's why I said that's a loaded question. There's so much to me.
That's exciting. So you're like layers of Shameca.
Layers of Shameca.
Not just the Shameca you see on screen. So as a woman, or as women business owners just in general, a lot of times we'll have tons of ideas. So for me personally, we were talking a little bit off camera, and I have all these ideas floating around, and it's just you want to do this, you want to do that. We're natural at multitasking, and so sometimes we want to do all that. Mm-hmm. How do you suggest, or what advice would you give a woman to figure out what to tackle first, or how, or maybe you wouldn't even say first, but how would you talk to a woman who's I have all this stuff floating around in my head, bouncing around all at the same time?
This answer is probably not going to be what you think it's going to be.
Okay, I'm ready.
So this is what I would say. Most of us are multi-passionate, multi-talented.
Okay.
I would say most women I run across, especially when they're brilliant.
Okay.
They just have many gifts, many levels to their genius. And it is difficult typically to pick one thing to start a business with.
Okay.
So here's what I would say. Pick a thing. Pick one thing.
Okay.
Pick the thing that you're passionate about. Pick the thing that fuels you, that drives you. When you think about yourself changing the world, when you think about yourself changing other people's lives, transforming their lives, their business, their body, their relationships, what is that thing that would make you feel like you're making the biggest difference? Because if you can get out the bed in the morning knowing that you're making a difference for people, usually the money will follow that.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm keeping that in mind because I got a whole bunch of stuff juggling around up here. And I talk to women all the time, and they're just well, I feel called to this, and I feel called to that. And, we're just kind of all over the place. But then if we're not becoming an expert or winning in any of these areas, we're kind of just skimming the surface.
Yeah.
One of the things that was kind of disappointing that I heard was about women who are making strides in entrepreneurship. We're starting businesses like never before.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting the courage to do it. We're saying yes, we're starting. But on the other end of that, we're not making the money.
No.
And I'm oh my gosh, how empowering to feel like we can do it. But then how disappointing on the other end to not have the return that, quite honestly, our male counterparts are having. And so I love that. Pick one thing. We got to pick one thing. And that's how we get started on that,
Get
on
started.
that track. Yeah.
Like pick one thing and do it for 6 months.
Okay.
And see what comes out of it. I wanted to talk about what you just said about the money.
Okay.
Like, so I don't know if you know this or not, but only 5% of women who actually start businesses ever cross 6 figures. And that's low. Oh. It's like 5% of people.
Wow.
And so I think one of the reasons that happens so often is because we have this conversation I'm talking about, trusting the value we bring to the table, especially when it's our gifting. When it's something that you're really, really good at, we have a hard time selling it. It's like, that's so easy for me. Why should I charge somebody $1,000 to do that or $10,000 to do that when it just takes me 10 minutes? I can look at them and boom, 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 right? Mm-hmm. And so when we start having this conversation that I should be well compensated for the thing that comes the easiest to me, because the reason why it's easy to you is because you spent time learning that skill set. It wasn't always easy.
Yeah.
Right? Over time, it's become easy. And so if you can remember that, then you will allow yourself or give yourself permission to be well compensated for it.
Wow. Wow. Permission. Yeah, because you're right. And sometimes I personally will like think of something. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'll just do that for free because it's not going to take that much out of me. But you're right. You don't think about the years of investment. It did take a lot out of you. It took your blood, sweat, and tears to get to the point where you are today. But it's a value thing. All right, we got to step up our value. My goodness. So here's another thing. When we think about entrepreneurship, it can be a little scary. I'm kind of like in transition into taking on some of my own ideas right now. And it is like terrifying. It's terrifying, this idea of not being able to like show up with a guaranteed result. And one of the things that I found is it kind of has to do with my own self-discipline. And making sure that I am putting myself on a schedule. What do you suggest as far as being an entrepreneur, but still adapting some type of routine, some type of system?
So there's 2 parts to this.
Okay.
The first thing is being an entrepreneur. I hear a lot of people, and some of you guys might be these people, that are always talking about the grind, right? We got to grind it out. And there's this belief that we have to put in so much work in order to build an empire.
Yeah.
Right. So my first piece of this is I am ruthless about self-care. So practice ruthless self-care, no matter what is going on with your business, whether you're just getting started and it's a startup or you've been at it for quite some time. When it's time to stop working, stop working. Okay. Spend time alone with yourself. Go do spa days. Make sure you take care of your hair and your nails. Because what I realized is as I was building my business and I thought, okay, I have to put away money so I can invest in things, right? We invest in our family. We put away money so we can invest in our business, but we forget the things that make us feel like us, the things that make us feel incredible, amazing, powerful. You want to do more of that stuff to fuel you while you're trying to build your business. So that's part 1.
Okay. So don't forget that.
Okay. Part 2 is I do a couple of things. The first thing I do is I actually have a 2-hour mindset routine in the morning.
Okay.
The reason why it's 2 hours, it doesn't always last 2 hours. Okay. The reasons why it's 2 hours is because I don't start working until I've put on my whole self. So until I feel like my most powerful self ready to take on the world, I do not pick up the phone. I don't do any appointments until 10 a.m. in the morning. It's just something I do for myself. I fuel myself. I eat food. I listen to music. I pray, read my Bible, whatever I need to do. When I get up in the morning, it's Shameca, what do you need? What do you need today? And I give myself that, and I do not move until that 2 hours is up or I feel like I'm in that space. And that includes working on my own mindset about my own value, because I struggle with that too. It's not a, oh, you've arrived and since you make this much money in your business, that conversation about should I charge this much or will people even show up to an event that I'm putting on? I still have those same conversations myself. And so that morning mindset routine allows me to step into a position of being powerful and being ready to take on the day.
Yeah. And that's something that everyone can take on. So whether you're like an entrepreneur or not, like whatever it is that you do, I think this idea of committing to yourself to be your best self. And whether it's 2 hours, 30 minutes, whatever it is, making that commitment to yourself, which is definitely not what I expected. I definitely wanted you to like pull out the calendar and schedule and time markers on us. But that's not priority.
No.
And I think you're right, because sometimes you got the calendar, you have the schedule, you got the appointments, you have the timers, you have the virtual assistant, you know, like we're putting all these things in place. But if you didn't take care of self, I don't care how well scheduled your day is, it just is not going to go well if you're not your best self. And so I absolutely love that. Yeah, because you're right. That's not the conventional approach that people have. So we're like, you know, get you an office and do this and do that. But I absolutely love that. So we're just going to pick your brain like all day. I want to kind of talk about the money, because you're the money maker. You're helping them make money. And so another quote is, scared money don't make money. In that, I hear this push to take risk. But what is the limit when it comes to taking risk for the sake of trying to make big money?
I don't think there's a limit necessarily. So this is a conversation I really want to have, because I think so many women especially limit what they're capable of doing because of this fear.
Yeah.
And the fear is, what if I invest this money and it doesn't return? What if it doesn't work out? And if you've been trying for a long time to build your business, or even if it's your first time, but if you've tried and failed, there can be an extreme amount of fear to taking an additional risk. Mm-hmm. Here's what I know about investing in my business, or anything for that matter. We all have a place where we're comfortable, and that's where you are right now. Where you are right now, you are extremely comfortable, even if it's something you don't really want right now. You don't really like it. You want something different for yourself, but you know how to maintain where you are. Yeah. You're like, okay, this is what I do every day. And I always tell this story about a smoke detector. You ever had a battery needed to be changed in your smoke detector? Yeah. And then you don't change it right away? Yeah. And then over time, what happens? You forget. Yeah. You no longer hear it.
Not at all.
Until somebody walks in your house and they're like, what is that noise?
It's true.
And you're like, oh shoot, the smoke detector, right? So the level that you are experiencing success right now is like the smoke detector. You're used to it. You're so used to it, it's just what you do. So whether it's not the level of success you want, or it's just where you're comfortable right now, you're used to it. It's not where you want to be, but you've learned how to do whatever you need to do, even with that beeping going on. Mm-hmm. Do something different. And so when another opportunity comes along that says, hey, I need you to step outside of what you know, what's comfortable for you, and do something that's slightly uncomfortable, leave that job, invest in a coach, buy marketing or advertising for your business, go speak on somebody's stage, and you go, wait, I don't know how to do this. And fear wells up because it's no longer the comfortable place. Yeah. And so what you have to do is make decisions that allow you to get up to what's called your terror barrier, which is where, have you ever seen that, the picture of the guy with the pickaxe? Yes. And he's like going, and he gets there and there's diamonds on the other side. Yes. And he turns around and walks away.
Yeah. And he's got one thin layer.
Tiny layer.
Just one more hit.
I truly believe that most people who never realize their dreams go up to that thin layer over and over and over again and turn around and walk away because of fear. Yeah. Because of fear. So I don't think that there's a level that's too much, but we must be willing to take risk. Okay. Because it will always feel like a risk because it's no longer the comfortable place. Yeah. It's the fear. So we think we're risking when, as a matter of fact, that one yes, that one decision gets you right on the other side of that thin layer. Yeah.
Yeah. But I hear what you're saying too. And I think it's really important to highlight this is you said take a risk. You said, you know, you're going to be scared as long as it's different. But I also heard you kind of build in some safeguards. And I love that because people are taking risks and, you know, in my opinion, just, you know, my humble opinion, I'm kind of doing things that just do not make sense. Take a risk, sis. However, there are some things that you can do to make sure that you are taking a risk in an environment that's conducive to success. And so I heard you talk about getting a coach. I heard you talk about networking. I heard you talk about some different things that are really safeguards. Anything else you would do to round out that list for us? Because you mentioned getting a coach. You mentioned paying for advertising for your business. So I heard you say that. Anything else you would add to that list to make sure that when you leap out there, girls, you got some kind of net?
Yeah. Well, I talked about speaking, like going out and speaking. Here's I want to talk about coaching for a little bit,
Yeah.
because I don't think a lot of people understand what coaching and mentoring really is. And when you're smart and brilliant, like I know all of you are, we think that we could just Google it and figure it out.
That's not.
No.
You can't just Google?
No. We have what I call I got this syndrome.
Yes.
I got this. I'm smart.
Yeah.
And here's what I know about investing in my own business, and I've taken some huge risks, and I might share with you guys like some of the levels of investment that I'm doing currently. But what I've learned from taking my own risk is I only know what I know.
Mm-hmm.
I can only take myself as far as I can take myself. Yeah, you're smart, but what you know today and what you're doing right now has only gotten you as far as you are. That's why when you're trying to build a business to 6 figures and you keep hitting 50,000 year after year after year, it's because what you know only takes you to that space. And so investing in a coach and a mentor, especially somebody who's been there, done that, who's already done what you're trying to do, who's wearing the t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
They actually allow you to skip the line. They're like, hey, sis, don't step there, go here. This is how you accelerate that learning curve. And again, that fear of making that level of investment for most people keeps them Googling and going, I'm smart enough. I got multiple degrees. I have this, I have that, I have experience. I'll just figure it out. And then you're same level every year. January comes and you're like, this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year I do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And you keep rolling those same goals over year after year after year. The other thing investing in mentorship does is it puts you in a community with other people who are on the same pathway as you.
Yeah.
When you're with people on the same pathway, they look like you, they look regular like you. You see a regular person. And in my case, I got into a community where people were doing hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue a month. But they look like me. Right? Or they didn't have as many degrees as I had. And I'm like, how come they're doing it and I'm not doing it? And I realized what happens is they, boom, opened up a space of possibility for me that I didn't have before, because they look regular, just like me, and they were regular people just like me, but they were doing 6 figures a month. I was not. And in that moment, a seed was planted that it was possible. When you're doing the Lone Ranger thing, trying to figure it out on your own, you don't get that seed of possibility of seeing other people who are ahead of you. You put things on pedestals. You think everybody has to be Oprah, when it's in reality, there are regular people just like you and I, killing it in business, making lots of money so that they can make a difference in the world. And so you want to be in a container with people for 2 reasons. One, that seed of possibility. And the second reason is when you can't believe for yourself, like, you know, you're amazing at what you do, but there's these conversations you have in the back of your head, like, is this really going to work?
Oh, yeah.
People around you always see and reflect back your brilliance to you. And sometimes you might be even saying, wow, everybody says I'm this. Everybody says I'm powerful. Everybody says I'm badass, but I don't feel that way all the time.
Yeah.
When you're constantly surrounded by people who see the biggest, highest version of yourself and reflect it back to you, it allows you to step into it more quickly and more powerfully. So then you start to become that person like this over and over and over again. You can borrow their belief.
Yeah. And this is really the sense of healthy comparison that I talk about. And some women have heard me say that, like, you know, comparison's not bad. And I genuinely believe that. I think that there's one thing to compare yourself to somebody or to the people around you and to put yourself down for what you're not. But I think there is a sense of healthy comparison where you need to look outside of yourself and have an honest conversation. Like, why is it that they can do it or that they're doing it and I'm not doing it? And it's not that you can't, and it's not because they're better than you, but there's something to be gleaned from looking at the person next door, not because you want to be them, but because there's a lesson that you can learn by being in this, what you call a container. So, all right. So this is it. You have taken women from making $3,000 a month to $30,000 a month. So what, as you've seen that success, I want to know, like, how is it that you have helped these women? And I know that you can't give us all the goods, but how have you helped these women make this big jump? Like, is it, and not all your secrets, but what is it about the journey that they go on when they link up with you?
Yeah, I'm going to give you all the secrets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll take them. Take notes, ladies.
I'm going to give you all the secrets because this is important. When people are looking to increase their revenue, like doing $3,000, which is what, about $36,000 a year, to starting to do $36,000 in a month.
Yeah.
And typically that is what my clients do. They go from making what they made in a year to making it in a month.
Yeah. When I read that, I was like, oh, okay, so I'm going to have her on the show and I'm going to hire her.
Yeah. Here's the truth. Real work. The real work is not the strategy. It's not the do this, do that, go here, go there, have this form, have this on your website, make your brand look like this. The actual real work is in the being. It's not the action that you take, it's who you're being inside of that action. And so I put my clients in what I call a courage container, and I call them to their highest selves, and I do not speak to anything other than the future version of them. And so they do big, scary things. So write this down. Results don't take time, they take courage. Results don't take time, they take courage. It takes you risking being looked at as being silly or looking stupid. It takes you risking rejection. It takes you risking putting an idea out there that people may not respond to. What happens for most people when they get stuck at struggle is they continue to try to map it out in a binder in their head, asking other people for their opinions, but they never really take the jump to risk the rejection, to risk the idea not working, to risk the event happening and no one showing up. And that keeps them playing small. And so my clients are big risk takers, and they call on their courage. They do it with fear in one hand, courage in the other hand. So that's the biggest piece to this. I'm going to give you a few more.
We're ready.
Okay. So I would definitely say you must charge way more for your services for what you do. Way more. And I know it's like, Shameca, what do you mean charge way more?
Yeah.
I always say way more because most of the people that I know that are extremely brilliant at what they do, they're undercharging and over delivering. Because in their hearts and their minds, they're thinking, I've got to do enough to make up for the money that I'm making. But then the reality of it is that is not enough. So I'm going to give you a few ways to figure out what you should charge. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So you do want to start with time. Most people just trade time for dollars. That's where people stop. They're like, oh, it only takes me 10 minutes. So just give me $50.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is you've taken a lifetime to learn that, right? And if you're a creative, even for me as a mentor, when I'm with my clients, my soul is being poured out into them. They are leaving with a piece of me, right? So there's more there than just the time, right? You've taken years to get to the point where it only takes you a short amount of time. So time is one part of it, but then you've got other things that people don't look at. Taxes, the money that comes into your business. So you have to pay the IRS, right? For all the money that comes into your business, there's a percentage.
Yeah.
I usually tell people take about 30% and put that away and just say for every dollar you make, 30 cents belongs to the IRS. For every $100 you make, $30 belongs to the IRS. The second thing you want to look at is marketing in your business. So huge mistake is most people think dollar for dollar, every dime that comes into their business belongs to them. It doesn't. It belongs to your company. So guess what? When you take the money straight to your hands and you spend it on your bills, your baby's diapers, your eyelashes, or whatever you spent it on, you're actually embezzling. We don't want to do that, right? And so the money belongs to the business. You must pay yourself and other people out of the money that comes in. So,
I mean, truth bomb.
So think about it. If you wanted to charge somebody $1,000 to spend a day with you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna play a game. You guys wanna play a game with me? So $1,000, think about it, write it down. $1,000 spend a day. That sounds amazing, right?
Yeah.
Come spend the day with me. I'm gonna do my thing, whatever it is that I do. I walk away with $1,000.
Yeah.
Let's do the math that I just said. 30% of that belongs to the IRS.
Yeah.
So that's $300.
Yeah.
So now we're at $7.
Okay.
Right? 30% of that belongs to the business for marketing, other expenses, right?
Yeah.
So now we're at another $300.
Yep.
You're down to $400.
Yeah.
Now the cost to deliver the service. Now, depending on what it is that you do, you might have to pay for space, right? So when I spend a day with my clients, we go to a hotel. I'm usually renting out a suite. So whatever that is for you, whether it's an office building, wherever you're going to do it at, you have to spend money. And you want to welcome your clients. You want to buy them a gift and say thank you. All of those things are little expenses. So let's just say, even on a low end of that, that's a couple of $100, right? Yeah. So now we're at $600, $700, $800. There's only $200 left. Guess who hasn't been paid yet?
You.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if that was the end of the road, which for most people it's not, right?
Oh yeah.
$200 is what you get for that day. Now for some people that could be okay, but for most people they were looking to be closer to the $1,000.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that means you need to raise your rates. So now we take the $200 and we add money on top of that, so that you do walk away with $1,000. So in this case, we would at least want to charge $1,800 for the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And most people don't think like that. They just think dollar for dollar. It comes in. Okay, what can I spend this on now? It's all mine, and it's not.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately a lot of the influence of that is what we like overthink ourselves out of it. So it's like, well, nobody's gonna pay that. Well, how do you know? You didn't put it out there yet. Who like, yeah, like you don't know if they're gonna pay that or not, or we're second guessing what we're worth, which goes back to the value conversation. So before you even get out there to do it, to try it, you kind of beat yourself all the way down, and the world, trust me, has beaten you down covered. And so we don't need to get in line and add to that list. But I absolutely love that. That's a good game to play. I feel like you have just really given us so much to think about. Like, honestly, I will have to replay this and think through some of these strategies that you've even given us. I want to just say thank you so much. I think that one of the things that I've experienced as a woman, and I hate to say it, I love women. I love women, empowering women. But one of the things I've personally experienced has been people being so stingy with the information. And even I almost basically said, sorry, like, don't give us all it all, I don't want to. But we get so nervous about sharing and being honest and kind of like letting the secret out the bag. But I just feel like your generosity with your wisdom today has been amazing. And I think that the women who are watching are going to greatly benefit from that. And so I want to say thank you for your generosity today. Thank you for being willing to invest in other women. And if you're listening, ladies, then this whole segment made you better. I got better just sitting right here in this chair. Okay. She's like my guest and I'm up here make sure we play this back. So that's it for this week's episode, ladies. We're all done with all those gems. I want to say thank you for joining us for this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments and all of the feedback that we've been getting. We absolutely love to hear from you. So do yourself a favor. Subscribe to Doing It with the Dumases, and that way you can get all the notifications and when a new episode drops. Also, do yourself a favor and follow our guest on her Instagram at Shameca Tankerson. And of course, follow Dr. Jaquette Dumas as well for all those goodies. And until we're together again, don't forget, destroy the limits.